And quite a lot of riders and owners have problems with the horse's poll area. So this is the area at the back of the ear, which is where your bridle will usually sit, or your headpiece will sit. So any issues with bridle fit, if the bit's too high, if there's a lot of rein pressure, it can cause problems in the poll area here. I always like to think of it as a computer area of all the different muscles and nerves from the head, coming up from the head and coming up from the head and the neck and the back as well. They all congregate in this area, so it's very, very sensitive, very prone to injury. If you've got horses that have pull back injuries as well, so if they pull back on a head collar while they're tied up, again you'll have injuries to this area which can be quite damaging and quite sore. So have a little palpate and a feel of this area. Usually I'll just feel for any heat or swelling, any reactivity and tension, and then just make sure you do both sides symmetrically. And again, if there's any reactivity, any pain response. So he's blinking a little bit here. So I would say he's slightly tense through his poll. So we want to go through some good stretches for this area, and we also want to check the range of motion of it as well. So the poll area as a whole is made up of different sets of joints. So you have your atlanto-occipital joint, which is where the head meets the top of the neck, and the atlanto-axial joint is where that joint then meets the first one, vertebrae in the neck. So together they give us this yes and no mobility, so we can check if the horse can do yes action, so flexion and extension of the joint itself. I'm just using a carrot here just to help us get a nice smooth transition. So we have full extension, full flexion, and then we have our no action, which is more to do with flexion and bend. So as you're riding, you want to have, ideally you want to see the horse's eyelashes as they bend and turn and flex. So it's just twisting there rather than having a true flex round to the side, one side, and the next side, and round. You can also do this passively as well. So you can place a hand over the poll area, use a hand underneath the chin, and have extension, and then equally a hand on the nose. You can just bring them into a little bit of flexion there, and equally left and right sides we can do by popping your hand. There's a big bony landmark here called the wings of Atlas. So on the wings of Atlas you can place a hand, and you can use a head collar or pop your hand on the horse's nose, and then just ask again for that no action, that flexion round. So he's a little bit more resistant to the no action than he is to the yes action. So this would say it was more the atlanto-axial joint rather than the atlanto-occipital joint. So some of my favourite stretches to do to help stretch this area out, you can do some of the range of motion, the yes and the no, and the passive flexion either side. You can even do them ridden as well, so a little bit of flexion down each rein just to get a little bit of bend, so you can see that eyelash as you're riding down alongside can be quite useful. Or we can do a poll stretch, so if you bring the head in and then raise up, you get a nice stretch through that poll area. We'll do one again. You can come out, bring it in, and then come up, 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 up. Good. And then back out and down again. So you can just work through that range of motion in a nice active way, but the horse is in control of the motion. It's a nice one to do after you've been riding, just to keep that area nice and supple. Another exercise which is really popular, which we can do, is ear circles. So there's 14 different muscles that hang around the base of this ear. So simply just by moving the ear, so I'm going to make a C shape with my hand, place that around the base of the ear, and then just roll the ear around one way, nice and slow, and you can see all of the different muscles there pulling. And then the other way, we'll roll back the other way. So again, because there's so many muscles that attach to the base of the ear, just by doing some air circles, you release all your temporalis muscles down the front, all just coming through your zygomatic arch here onto your masseter, and all the muscles around that poll area in one fell swoop. So between doing your stretches for the poll and doing the air circles, you pretty much encapsulate everything in this area to keep it nice and free and supple for any ridden horses.